So were you all able to make the assignment? Because I saw just two people turned it in. Okay, so it's all right. You can even go through this w3schools.com. It's a great site to learn HTML and CSS. Right. So now what we wanted, we'll do it here. Let's discuss something here. Right. So what we had name, we had a password. Then the other things that we want to have is another thing that we could have is say gender, and we can set its type to set its type to radio. Let's set its name. Okay, so why do we need to set both of their names same? Any guesses? Let's open the default viewer. You can see we have a column for gender as well. Okay, so let's languages. What we had to use here is a checkbox. Like by languages, I mean here is C, C++, type equals to. Right. Right. So we have a checkbox here as well. And last, let's add a button. Value equals to. Right. So we had to create something like this. Right. So I don't think it was that tough. We just had to use what we learned last in the last class, and we could have created this easily. So it's okay. Now we are going to, yeah, just yeah. So now we are going to learn here another tag that we are going to use. So let's clear it all. Let's create now. consider one thing that, for example, I have something written on my HTML page, right? And what I want, when I click on that thing, I want it to direct me to other page. Okay. Just give you an example. Let's give it a title. Now, what we're going to write here is, so at first let's write, this is a heading, right? This is a heading. Now, what we want here is, what we want here is, whenever we click this on this something, right? Whenever we click on any text or any button or something like that, what we want to happen is, we want it to redirect us to some other page, right? What we want is that we want to get redirected to some other page. For example, let's consider as any website. For example, yeah, let's take code. So what we want here is, whenever we click on this paragraph or this text, what we want our HTML page to redirect us to that website where we want to get over, right? So what we are going to use here is an anchor tag, right? We are going to use here an anchor tag. What is this? Anchor tag. So what it does, it is used to navigate between links, right? We used to navigate between links. Now, but for that, what we need here is, we have an attribute here, and let's first of all, we have written nothing here, and let's write click here, right? Now we can see that we have a click here, and as you can see, let's remove this click because it's not needed anymore. Yeah, now you can see that we have a click here, and you can see it's blue in color and it has an underline, right? So when we, and you can see whenever we move our cursor to it, it changes like a link. So when we click it, nothing happens, right? It gets clicked but nothing happens. So for something to happen, what we need to do is, we need to write on which website do we want to redirect ourselves, right? Code chef, right? So let's refresh it, and when we click on this click here, okay, coach. Okay, just let me see what's the problem here. Okay, we can, what we can do here is, yeah, you can just copy the link address from here, and then we can just paste it here. Now I guess this should work properly. Yeah. See, what we did here is we just clicked on that click, and what happened? It just landed us to the site where we had set its function, right? So, are you able to understand what this anchor tag is used for? Right, it is used to redirect us to any website. So let's use another anchor tag here. Okay, so now we can use anchor tag with many things. For example, let's write a list here. UL, then li. Process. Now what we can do here is copy this from here and let's paste it here. Right. So what we have here is, see, you can see we have code chef, Hackering, and code forces. Now we can see that code chef has a link here, so it directs us to the code chef as well. We can similarly set it for HackerRank and code forces as well, right? So this is how we can use an anchor tag. We can even use it with a button as well. So let's take that as an example. Right. So when we click the button, it takes us to the website, right? So this is, you can see this, right? When we clicked on this button, it took us to codeshare.com. Okay, so this is how our anchor tag works. Is it clear to everyone? How does it work? Or do you need more examples? No? So now what we are going to discuss here is, we are going to discuss an important concept for our web pages, a form tag. Form tag. What is a form? This is a form tag. Right. Now, so what is this form used for? So form basically is used for collecting a data that we are providing in a form. It can collect the data, then when we click on the submit, like when we submit our form, then all the data gets, you know, it gets to the place where we want it to get, right? Okay, we'll see with an example that we understood like that. For example, we want an input type equals to equals to x. Here password type equals to password, right? Now in input type we have specific one thing for form, which is submit. And now what what is submit here? So submit creates a button here, right, which is used to submit the form. So what we write here is we can label it as submit. Right? So when we just come, when we just refresh a program here, but we can see it's all in the same line. But what if we want to change the lines? Let's add a break tag here, so it will look better. And we can even add it inside a table, so it will look in an arranged form. Right. So when we have created a form here, right? Then we can input any data here, and then whenever we click at submit, the form gets submitted. You can see that there is kind of something kind of happened here whenever we click on submit, right? So okay, so and before that, if we want a form to submit to somewhere, right? If we want our data that we have just written inside a form to get collected and to get travel to some place, then what we use here is the action attribute. And the action attribute, what it does, it
Hello,
basically,
sir.
yeah, who's this?
Your voice is not audible.
Okay, let me see. Is it audible right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so okay, so let's continue here. Yeah, so we have another attribute which is action here. So when we click on submit, what we want to do, we want to happen that our form should get submitted, and it should take us to some other link, or it should take us to some other URL, right? So let's write something in this action. For example, let's okay, yeah. So let's take it to mm, okay. We need a okay. So let's create another page. Another page. We can create another page here so that we can take our data to this page. Now, new page. What we have here is a heading, new page. Right. Let's save it as new.html. We have saved it as new.html. Okay, close this here. Right. So when we open it in the default view, what we can see, a new page here, and this one is hello. Right. Now, what we are doing here is we are just linking these two pages. So, what if I click? What if I make a tag here? Let's use anchor tag here, and let's write its attribute as new.html. Yeah, right, new page. Let's see whether it works here or not. So when we refresh this page, you can see new page here, and you can see that when we clicked on new page here, where did we land? We land on the page that we just created, right? If you want to just recheck it, let's make our page a little better. For example, let's add a paragraph here as well. Let's add center tag so that it will look a little good. So this page has been recently created, right? So I've just saved it. Now, whenever we'll click on this link, right, it will take us to the new page that we have just created. Do you understand why is it happening? Because we have linked both of them in this section, right? Where we have created an anchor tag and it will take us to the new.html file. You can see the file name new.html. That's what we have written here, new.html. It is supposed to be in the same folder. Then only it will work. So now what we want here is what we want that whenever we click on submit in our form, what should happen? The action should be we should be navigated directly to the new.html file. So now just try to see what we are doing here is we have written abc here and we'll write password as 123, right? Focus on them abc and 123. Whenever we click on submit, see, it just got transferred to here. Now let's see whether it also now. So a form tag has two attributes. One is action and another is method. So there are two methods. One is get and another method is post. By default, get method is already there, so we don't need to write it. There are two methods, get and post. So it's on us which method we are using here. These methods are used just for the server request, and that's it. We'll understand what are server request and response. Okay, so let's not write it here until now. So this is how our form works here. We can take our input and just we can transfer it to somewhere else. So I guess it's clear up to here, right? Okay, so there's another input type which is reset. So what the reset does, with the name we can understand that it must reset something, right? So whenever we write
Okay.
ABC and 123 here. Now if we want to reset all of this, you can just click on this reset button. Right, so everything just got clear. We have just two fields here, so it will be easy for us to reset it manually as well. But what if a form is really big one, right? And we need to reset everything. Then we just can click this reset button, and everything will get reset as well, right? So this is how there are few things that works in a form. So another thing that we are going to use here is this was enough for a form and something like that. Now we are going to use another thing. For example, what if okay, is it understood till here what we want to happen, right? What we want to do? Yeah, we created a form tag here. We understood how a link works, right? We got a new page just by clicking on a button. So I hope it's all understood till here. Now what we are going to use here is another tag. There are so many tags in HTML. And if you have gone through that W3 school, you would have seen so many tags, so many attributes. to learn and so many things, right? So here we are just discussing some few of them so that you can have a basic idea, yeah, how things work and how we can create a small web page and something like that, right? It's not limited till here. Okay, now let's do one thing is, yeah. Mm, okay, so this was up to, we have understood about HTML. Now let's understand what is CSS. Because this will be enough for the HTML. Right. So now what we are trying to learn here is CSS. So what's the full form of CSS? Does anybody know?
Cascading style sheet, sir.
That's correct. Okay. Style. So what is this CSS used for? We can see that we have created a website, right? We created a web page. It looks something like that. But does it look attractive? Surely does not look attractive. If we see other sites, other websites, it looks so attractive, like it has so many colors and something like that. Why isn't our website like that? So what we need to do is we need to style our website, and to make it look beautiful, we use cascading style sheet, which is basically used for to design or to style our website. Right. So now consider, okay, so before that, before writing CSS, we have one few more things. For example, what if we want to change the color of our body here? Okay, so first let's refresh this thing. We can see that it's just this is heading it. Let's write bg color and another attribute here we can use when we refresh it. We can see that we have a red color of background here, right? We can do it with other things as well. But what if we want to set colors to different attribute to different tags, right? So are we going to do this? We're going to write bg color right here, 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 and everywhere? No, it will just take a lots of time, and it will be hard for us to keep record of it, right? So we use CSS here for an effective way to design our website. Now CSS are basically of three types. Three types of CSS. Okay, so anyone would like to tell me what are those three types? Okay, so what are those three types? First is inline, second is internal, the third one is external CSS. Right? Inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. So what are these? We are going to have a look at them right now. Now, yeah. So what I was saying is, what if we want to apply CSS to just a simple, just one tag? Right? We want to apply CSS to one tag, then we can call it as inline CSS because we are just specifying it in that tag as well. So there's another color called as tomato. So it won't work here. Let me see. Yeah, because we are using it in heading. Let's use it in body instead. PG color equals to, I'm just spelling of tomato was right. Right now, so what this is called inline CSS because we have just used a type of CSS in the tag itself. Right? Okay, right. Dodger blue here. We can have that as well. Right? So this is how inline CSS works. Now Okay, so there are another syntax for it. We have another syntax for it, right? So to use a CSS, what we do here is we use an attribute. We use an attribute, the name, style, right? And we can just write anything in this, right, related to CSS, so that we can style our heading or something like that. So let's use it here. Style background color. Let's set the background color to, let's write red. Now, so what we have done here is, okay, so before this, it has a simple syntax. It has a simple syntax, which is style equals property colon value, right? So it's a basic syntax of it. Now, in the first, in the left side of column, what we specify the property that we are using, right? So in this case, what we are using is a background color. It is a property, and now in the right of the column, what we are using a value. So what the value we have specified here is right. So the property we are using here is background color, and the value we have specified here is red. We can also, what we can do, we can use multiple properties here, right? Now we can have another property and then value, another property and value, and we can just separate it using the semicolons. So we'll see that right now. Right. So what we have done here is we have set the background color as red here. Now we can see that when we refresh the page, we can see that the inline CS is working properly. Now let's write it as black. Now we have we need to set a style for this heading as well. Let's set color. So when we write just color here, that means we are talking about the foreground color or the color of the text. The color of the text. So let's set the color of the text to white. So when we just refresh it, you can see that our background color is black and the color of our text is white. What if we don't write this thing here? What would happen then? We won't be able to see the heading. Why? Because by default, the color of heading is black. Okay, so now what we want is we want our heading to have a, okay, just a second. Okay, now so another style that we are going to add here is, yeah, we can see that let's, for example, let's add another style as text decoration. Text decoration. Let's set text decoration. So what is this text decoration? In order to decorate a text, use this thing. Now let's write as underline is one of the decoration of the text. So when we just refresh it, we can see that we can see an underline under the our heading, right? See, so this is how an inline CSS works. Yeah. Now, so let's take a few more examples of inline CSS. For example, let's add another attribute here. Let's add a paragraph tag, and this is a and let's add some style to it. We want to change the color of our paragraph to right, the color of the text of our paragraph to white. We can do that. Now we can even change the font size of our paragraph. Right. So what if we want to set its font sizes to 20 pixels? So when we just refresh it, we can see that the size of our paragraph is has increased as well. What if we set it to 40 px? It just got increased. Right. You can see that we can change the font size as well. We can change the font color as well. We can do all kind of stylings using the CSS here. Right. So another thing that we are going to use here is yeah. So let's use an image tag. We are going to use an image tag. Now, why are we using this image tag? To basically add an image to our web page. Right. Now, add a style to it. For example, we want width of an image 200 pixels and height for images 100 pixel as well. Right. Now, since we have no image here right now, but we'll see a blank space here. Right. And how do we add an image here? So just let me stop the share. Just a second, I'm sharing the screen again. Now we all can see that we have I've just put an image file here in this same folder where all our HTML files are kept. I've just kept an image file here, gd.jpg. Now what we are going to do here is in this src attribute, we are just going to write the name of our image file, jpg. Now when we just refresh our page here, what we'll see, you'll probably see the image here. You can see that image here, right? it's it's small in size though, but this is how we can add an image in our HTML page. Okay, now we can see its size is getting bigger. So this is how we can add an image to our HTML page. Another thing that we can do here is let's use anchor tag with an image. Let's see whether it works or not. Click to see an image. You see there is a tag here, and when we click on it, it takes us to the it just displays the whole image, right? What we just did here, we had a anchor tag here. You can see that it's dark purple in color, and when we click on it, it takes us to the image, right? As we have set our link to it, we have linked it to the gd.jpg file. So this is how our anchor tag and image tag and form and basics of inline CSS work here. So is it clear up to here? Any doubts, anyone? Anyone?
So we can also like change the font of the text. Like we can also make it like in written in like bold italics.
Yeah, sure, we can do that as well. We'll see that. We'll see that. Don't worry. We can change our we can change it to bold, and we can change it to italic. We can even change the font style, right? Like in Arial or
Yes, yes.
Rockwell